Well, good day, everybody. Glad you can join me for another episode using a dehydrator and what you can do with it. Right now, I'm barbecuing some chicken breasts with all the spices, basically, that comes out of my garden, except for salt and pepper. But right now, thanks for dropping in, and let's take a look at some things that I dehydrate. I'll be right back. Before we start the rest of the video, I would like to say that in the making of the video, the temperatures were sitting at about 30, 31, 32 Celsius, very warm. And I had to shut off the air conditioning in the house and all my fans because it was just too loud in the video. It was drowning me out like crazy. So I got a little hot, a little warm, and when we carry on in the video, you'll see the evidence in my t-shirt. But anyways, all in all, let's continue on with the rest of the video, and I hope you guys enjoy. And always remember, waste is unacceptable nowadays. You have to utilize whatever you can and as much as you can just to get by. So enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks. All right, just a little something. If you get into dehydrating, you're going to save a lot of money. And you're going to save a lot of produce from going bad. You're going to have a lot of fresh items with good flavor. And this is just an example of what I do. A small example. I got so much on my shelves downstairs and everything. And we use this daily. Whenever we're cooking, whenever we're making soups, stews, whenever we're doing baking, this is what I run for. I don't run too much to the store. I run to my cupboards. Give you an example. This bag here is celery. This is celery. Okay? This is out of our garden. This was out of our garden last year, and this was near the end of the season when it was time to process it. We ate as much as we can. We make a lot of sauces, and then whatever was left over that I didn't want to lose, I chopped it really fine, dehydrated it. So this whole bag is celery. How many stalks are in here? Man, lots. Let's just say there's lots. When I make my spaghetti sauce, I only grab maybe, oh boy, maybe a little over a quarter cup. And the flavor is phenomenal. So that's celery, right? Beautiful stuff to have. I know you're probably going to ask, but I won't be able to answer it. This bag here, as you can see, that's a big bag. And it's thick. Okay? That's all cucumbers out of the garden. Poker chips. Last year, cucumbers, I'm telling you, I had nothing. I had nothing for cucumbers. The year before, this is what I ended up. We ate cucumbers every day. And then when we got tired of cucumbers, we started dehydrating them. But what I did is I used my mandolin, I shaved them into like chips and dehydrated them like chips. So, what am I going to do with that? Cucumber soup. a cream of cucumber soup. This is phenomenal. It'll never go bad. Perfectly dehydrated. How many are in there? I don't know. 2 bushels? Big bushels? Lots. There's lots of cucumbers in there. Okay? So, makes great soups. The table is full of all kinds of stuff. So, in the back, garlic. Okay? Big jar of garlic. It's all processed. It's all chopped, dehydrated. I have maybe another 1.5 jars like this. That's downstairs, but I only brought this up for the video. This here, I take a little bit of a pinch, throw it in with my spaghetti sauce. Excellent. But I put garlic powder on pork chops, steaks, chicken pieces, and all this. So I make my own garlic powder. You notice it's not white, it's brown. That's because it's made with this. And that's out of the garden. No preservatives, no nothing but goodness. So I make my own garlic powder. I take this, I use my coffee grinder and make my own powder. And potent. The smell in this, now that's strong. So I don't have to buy it at the grocery store no more, because this whole thing here, you can see the comparison, right? That's a pretty big jar. When I grind this into a powder, I'll get 3/4 of this of powder. 3/4 of this, almost full, when I turn that to a powder. And like I said, I only got maybe another 1.5 jars downstairs. And this fall, we're planting a lot of garlic for next year, because I'm running out, and I got enough until probably next summer. So I'm planting more this fall for late June, early July's harvest of garlic for next year. All right. So, what can you dehydrate? Why? What can you use it for? Well, I'll tell you. Dehydrating. This here, green onions, right? This here is all the leaves and all the tails of all my green onions that I dehydrated. This is the part that every one of you probably throw away, and that's the tips of all the onions. We wash them, we clean them, we cut them, I dehydrate them, make it into a powder, and we use that, again, soup, stew, sauce, whatever, right? Again, I showed you the zucchini. Red onions, all my red onions dehydrated. So this is almost gone. Okay, I only got probably enough there for maybe one more spaghetti sauce. This was full of almost like a powder. Okay, white onions almost like a powder. Again, soups and sauces. I do all my peppers. I dehydrate all my peppers. And I leave them whole. These ones here, I leave whole. Then when it's time to put it in my sauces or whatever, I can use a knife, finely chop it. Or if I want to turn it into a powder for when I make my own spices, my own steak spices and stuff like that. Okay, I call it the Heinz 57 for sure. I'll take some onions, I'll take a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper. I'll take my own garlic, my onions, stuff like this, mix it together, grind it together, and I make my own spices for like chicken breasts or whatnot. So that's what I use that for. So we'll hide that. But shallots out of the garden, okay, dehydrate it. Now back here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jars of white onions. I put onions in everything when I'm cooking, everything. So that's why I got a lot of jars of onions, and I keep that right in my cupboard in the bottom there, because I use that 3 times a week. So that's why I got a lot of onions. That'll keep forever and ever and ever. Okay, lots of onions. Celery. I showed you a big bag of celery, right? This is the main part of the celery stalk. Okay, this is the stalk. And we clean all our celery, take all the leaves off, and this is just the stalk. But what do I do with the leaves? Well, hey, nothing goes for waste. So the leaves, I also dehydrate, turn it into a powder, and I keep it here. This one's in the green label. So this stock in the green label was all from last year. So I dehydrate that. Again, I use that when you're using stuff like parsley flakes and stuff like this, and you run out of parsley flakes. Well, I'll tell you, you use celery leaves, like parsley flakes and all that. You might not go back to parsley flakes. When you want to make your own rubs and sauces and your own spices, and use this as a base, you might get addicted pretty quick. But if you notice, green label, this one here, white label, okay, this is from the year before. So the green label is from last year, the white one's from the year before. But this one here is my last bottle before I get into the new stuff. And we use that all the time. Don't throw it out. Even if you guys go to the grocery store and you're buying all your vegetables and celeries and onions and whatever, don't throw out your greens. Big mistake. The things you can do with that is phenomenal. Phenomenal. What I do is I take the celery leaves, I get my little spice shakers, all right? And I put there, that's what it is. Well, you know what? That goes on my chicken breasts. A little bit of paprika, a little bit of this, a little bit of something else in there, some garlic powder of mine. So that's what I use. And so I keep my old bottles, relabel it, and then that's celery leaves. Oh, if you're going to make a homemade tomato and basil soup, homemade from scratch, take some celery leaves, sprinkle it on top with your basil from your garden. Mwah. I'm telling you, you're going to have a very flavorful soup. So don't throw that out. Keep it. Herbs, rosemary, big jar. I got some more growing in the garden. And the wife says, why? Why? Because I want more. You know, we use it all the time, especially come Christmas and stuff like this, where we're cooking our turkeys and I want a little bit of rosemary, or if I'm making my pizza, I do all that. When I want to do all my dill pickles and stuff like this and all that, I got all my dill. Okay, so this is the dill weed. All right, I dehydrate it, keep it in here. Stalk, leaves, everything. I try to separate my seeds when I let it go to seed, but in here is everything. The entire plant, except for the seeds, is in here, dehydrated, ground to a powder. When I make dill pickles and when I open that, the smell is unbelievable how fresh that is. This is just the seeds. This here was a couple of years ago. I had sorry. I had dill that was over 4.5 feet high and big bushels all alongside my garden. I planted lots, and that year I went crazy. So we let it all go to bud. We let all the flowers go and start seeding. Then we put everything in a paper bag, brought it in the house, and let it dry. And every day, the wife would grab all the paper bags and just shake, 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 shake. And this here is everything that came out of them paper bags, all the seeds. We keep that also. Oh, another jar of celery from last year. Oh, from the year before. More celery. More celery. So, whenever we do that, we use this, grab a pinch, we got lots of it. And this is the jar that we're using now, that's almost gone. So once this is gone, I'll just crack open a new jar. All right, something else. Our own sage. Look at the 3 different colors. I don't know if you can catch that in the camera, but you got a darker color, probably not, with the glare. But anyways, we got a color here, then right here, it's light, and then up here, it's dark. Well, this is 3 years. Okay, that's 3 years growing sage. 1 year, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year. And this year I got sage in the garden again. My jar is almost full, so I'll probably have to start a new jar. But right here, there's 3 years of sage in there. Sealed. What other crazy thing do I do? Broccoli flowers. Okay, broccoli. So when we had a lot of heads of broccoli, our cauliflower, forget it. We grew 16 heads and we never harvested any. It just didn't work out. Broccoli worked out. So we kept all the flowers, dehydrated them, put them in here. Again, we put that in our soups. I don't waste nothing. I dehydrate everything. Okay, off the wall. We call this green powder. This is just what it is. Green powder. What the hell's green powder? Well, this is green powder. So that's a full jar. Here's another jar. This used to be a full jar. And that's what it is, just green powder. There's my oxygen absorbers in there, 100 cc's. But that's it, green powder. What is that? I'll tell you what that is. It's all our lettuce. This is all lettuce. All our different kinds of lettuce. All our lettuce. When it starts bolting or starts getting ready for seed and we just can't keep up because we got so much lettuce, we don't throw it out. We do not throw it out. What we do is take all the leaves, cut it with a pair of scissors or a knife or whatever, we dehydrate it. Everything. Dehydrate it. Then after we dehydrate it, we put it in, I guess, our coffee grinder again and turn it into a powder, and we call it green powder because that's all that is. You know how much lettuce is in these 2 jars? There's lots of heads of lettuce in these 2 jars, I'll tell you that right now. And this, again, we use this because the flavor is unbelievable once you dehydrate it. Lots of flavor in here. So we'll use this when we make all our spice jars and stuff like this, and we'll use that as a filler, but it's got a nice taste to it. When we do soups, we pinch it off, throw it in the soups. When the wife wants to do a nice stew and we want to add some color, she'll grab a pinch of this and just throw it in the stew. Spaghetti sauce, I grab a handful of this and throw it in the spaghetti sauce. You'll see your sauce, you know, it's got all the little green flakes amongst all the rest of the vegetables and the red sauce and all this. And that's what I put. And I'm telling you, the flavor is unbelievable. We call it green powder, but that's what it is. Heads of lettuce that bolted or whatever, and that's what we do. Crazy, but I'll tell you, we like it. Last year wasn't a good year for carrots. Oh my God, we had seven feet by 4 feet planted with carrots. Planted it 2-3 times, never took. Don't know why, just the seeds just never took. The year before, couldn't keep up. Carrots, man, the carrots were popping out of the ground. They were so big and so nice. So what we did is we couldn't keep up, dehydrated it, did a fine grind on this one, okay, just a fine grind. Nothing, I didn't turn it into a powder. But hey, carrot cake, carrot muffins, carrot. That's what this is for. This is for our bacon. Okay, whenever we start baking muffins and all that, we want to do carrots or we want to do zucchini, or we'll do zucchini and carrots. That makes a good muffin and good bread. So dehydrate that also. Then I have all my different types of peppers, right? Out of my garden. This is all out of my garden. Everything you see here, these are all peppers. I don't know how many jars I have here. Okay, these are all my sweet. Okay, and what I do is I take my red, my green, all my sweet peppers, all of them. When it's time to harvest, I separate it all and I dehydrate it all together. So everything in here is my sweet peppers. And they're a little bit chunky, okay? Spaghetti sauce. I put a half a jar, sometimes a whole jar in my spaghetti sauce, but I make a big pot, eh? So I keep that. That's going to last forever. That won't go bad in the jar downstairs on the shelf. I got lots and lots. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 jars just up here that was in there. Then I got all my Cayenne out of my garden. Scotch Bonnets, very hot. These are nice. These are hot. When I'm making a spaghetti sauce and I just want a little bit of heat, I'll take one of these wafers out. I'll cut it into maybe 4 or 5 pieces, and that will go into a nice big pot. You don't need much of this to give it that little bit of heat. If you put too much, this will overpower it. But the thing about Scotch Bonnet is it's got heat, right? But you know something? It's got a sweetness to it. Yes, it's hot, but it's got a nice sweet taste with a kick in the pants, I'll tell you. But I use that in my spaghetti sauces. This is out of my garden last year. Again, jalapenos. Oh, more Scotch Bonnets. Chili. Jalapeno again. Okay, again. Red Shepherds, okay? They're not hot for color and all that in my sauces. I like that. Again, more jalapenos. So yeah, so what do I got here? Oh, jeepers, yeah. This here, okay, is Cayenne. That's from 2 years ago. The Cayenne that I got 2 years ago, I couldn't keep up with picking that. I just couldn't keep up. But you take that, take a couple of handfuls, throw in a bowl, a couple of handfuls of everything else, grind it all together, make sure it's a nice powder, get yourself a shaker, and make an allspice, a Heinz 57 spice mix. You're going to have a bit of a kick, but you sprinkle that over like a dry rub for a nice pot roast, pork roast or something like that. That's going to be nice. This is very fine powder, but it's red. You can see that, right? Nice red powder. Now, tomato powder. That's what that is. Tomato powder. 100% tomato skins only. Tomato powder in here is just tomato skins. That's it. Why? We don't get rid of nothing. When we start doing all our canning and making our stewed tomatoes, canning tomatoes and all that, well, you know, first thing the wife does is we bag everything. As everything is ripening, we'll eat as much as we can. We got lots, so we'll just eat and eat and eat, give some away, eat and eat, until we just can't eat no more because there's too many. Then what she does is she grabs it all, washes it all, cleans it all, puts them in big Ziploc bags, downstairs in the freezer, and we leave it in the freezer. Then when we got enough to do a whole day's canning and making stewed tomatoes, then we're going to take it all upstairs, put them in our big pots, and we'll leave them sit there for a while with a little bit of cool water, warm water, and we'll do that. Leave them start on thawing, right? Well, when they start on thawing, you just grab them tomatoes, give it a pinch, whook. The only thing you're left in this hand is the skinless tomato, and everything in this hand is all the skin. We'll put that in a bowl. This, put in the jars, right? So we'll take all the tomatoes. Once they start on thawing, boop, the skins come right off them. We keep all the skins. Then as we're canning all our tomatoes, I'll get the dehydrator going, and we'll take all them skins, spread it all out in the dehydrator, go through the process. Then once we're done, we turn it into powder. Dehydrated tomato skins, just like paper. And then after it's dehydrated, we grind it into a powder and add spices, and we use that for chicken and soups and stews. Into powder, 100% powder. And I'm telling you, you make homemade cream tomato soup or anything. If you want to make taco spices, or if you want to make oh god, there's just so much, right? Homemade spices for tacos, homemade burritos, homemade whatever. You take, this is potent stuff right here. This here has got a very strong tomato smell and tomato taste right here. I don't throw out the skins. Everyone throws their skins in the garbage. I pull out my dehydrator, and that's what I do. All kinds of stuff. This is only this here is only an example that I brought up because it filled my table, but I got a whole bunch more of different stuff. What do I got here? Oh yes, that's my celery again. But anyways, there's so much you can do with the dehydrator. And if you got a garden, and if it grows, you can dehydrate it. If you go to the grocery store, you can't just buy one piece of stalk of celery. You got to buy the whole stalk of celery, right? Well, if you're making a recipe and it only calls for one piece, well, the rest is just going to go bad in the bottom of your fridge if you don't eat it, right? Cut it up. Cut it really fine, fine, fine. Cut it up. Dehydrate it. Take the leaves, put it in here, and take the other celery, put it in another jar. Throw in a 100cc oxygenated absorber in there. Put it up in your cupboards. Hey, you're not feeding your garbage with all your fruits and vegetables that are going bad because you can't use them. This is a way that you're going to save money. We've been doing it, like the wife and I have been doing this for, like I said, almost 30 years now. So, get yourself a dehydrator. And especially nowadays, you know what, you really got to count your pennies, and you really got to look where your food's coming from. It's getting so expensive out there to buy your food. You can't afford to waste nothing. Just think about it. And you know what? You want to know something? The internet's full, YouTube's full, Google's full. But hey, you can contact me too, and I could talk to you for hours about anything that you wanted to know about dehydrating or any canning, preserves, jams. We do all our own jams. We do all that. We make our own jellies, our own jams. We take our mountain ash berries, and when it ripens, then we take apples, and we'll go like, let's say 2 to 1. 2 to 1 mountain ash berries to apples, and we make beautiful jam. It's got a nice tartness, and I'm telling you, that's good. That's a nice jam. So anyways, thanks for joining me on this little mini series, or you know, uh, sometimes I get carried away with talking, but it's just the way I am, right? So a little video on zucchini, drying them out, and just a little talking about spices and everything else that I dehydrate from the garden. Don't be shy. Drop me a line. Don't waste. Dehydrate. Store it. So anyways, thanks very much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Thumbs up. And we'll see you later. Bye now.